How's it going, everyone? Another manual swap video today. In the last couple of 900 videos, I've really been not doing so much manual swap related work as opposed to these side projects where I've been doing things like cleaning the engine bay. I just cleaned the interior. I tried to restore my dashboard, things like that. But today I'm excited because it's been about 2 weeks since I've actually done specific manual swap related work on this thing, so we're finally going to be getting back into that. What I want to do is get all of the manual parts interior related in. So pretty much what that means is we're gonna have to pull apart this gear selector. All of this carpets are gonna have to come out here. Hey everyone, future me here. I'm just going to cut myself off here and go ahead and clarify something here. So this video was actually filmed over about the course of a month. This first part was filmed before SOC. The ending of this video was filmed after SOC. So in this video, what you're going to see a majority of is me taking apart the interior, the last bit that I need to take apart, and then lastly, going ahead and kind of removing some of the linkage parts, but mostly focusing on getting the new brake pedal and clutch pedal installed, because as you'll see, I hit just about every roadblock imaginable. We're also going to have to put in the brake pedal and the clutch pedal. I also want to put in the master cylinder as a result of that, which is going to go in the engine bay here, pretty much right against the firewall. So I want to do that kind of stuff and see where we go. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. I think the first thing I'm going to do is pull these front carpets out. In order to pull out these carpets, we're gonna have to pull out these trim pieces here, which I believe are really the only things holding this carpet in. So there's just a bunch of T25s all along here. So let's buzz those out. These screws are definitely a lot longer. And there's a third one back here, which is off camera. You can see the carpet is not held in anywhere else, which is actually extremely helpful. I'm gonna go ahead and put these screws aside first though, so I do not lose them. This is interesting because the passenger side had three long bolts, 3 short bolts. On that side, the long bolts were on the floor, and on this side, the long bolts were on this piece here. So I don't know which is right, but as long as it holds it in, I guess it's fine. I was struggling here for a second to figure out how to feed the carpet around this big piece, and I realized it has to come off easily. So I just pulled up on this side of it, and it popped right off. So pretty sweet. Now I obviously won't have to deal with that issue. Although, of course, now that that's off, there's now a bunch more debris. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side and vacuum this, then we'll pull the carpet out. Well, knocked the tripod over getting the carpet out, and as a result, obviously fell. So a little bit more vacuuming to do, but the carpet's out. Ooh, another quarter, hell yeah. In order to get these 3 gear lever bolt nuts off, or they're nuts technically, you need a special socket, because as you can see, it's just not your standard nut. So what people recommend, there's 3 of them. What people recommend is to take an 11mm socket and cut it up. So I'm currently in the process of doing that. I've got one side done, I've got to cut 2 other sides off. This is just a 1/4 inch 11. I mean, you never use an 11mm, so I'm not really too upset about it. I might just replace those with standard nuts if I have proper nuts to replace it with, but the old $40 Amazon Dremel is actually doing really well for this, just using vice grips, and that's about it. Honestly, worked pretty well. It took about 5 minutes to do that. So 2 more sides to do, and then we'll be ready to take that off. So here we are. It's our 11mm. I just kind of cut at every corner of the socket, and that seemed to work well, because when I put it on here, you can see I broke it loose already. So this absolutely worked perfectly. I'm so happy. that worked, but I've got to get that one off. I'm not going to use the impact on it just to be safe. I've got to get these two off as well, but I think I might need to figure out how to get this AC ducting off before that. This thing fought me quite a bit off camera. It's just hard because the ducting is so kind of pushed into each other that you really got to twist and pull at this, but finally got it out.
The following Thursday,
I spent all that time the other day making this fancy socket, which worked out really well. I'm still super happy with how this turned out. But I spent all that time and then did some more reading on the swap, and you're not really supposed to swap the gear selector and the linkage until after the motor has been put back in. Supposedly it's easier that way. So I've got the bolts out. It's all loose, but I'm not going to touch that. But what we are going to focus on for the rest of this video is getting this interior not put back together, but at least partially put back together. But before we do that, we need to do the clutch and brake assembly here. So this is our clutch pedal, and then here we have our manual brake pedal. Now, I think I've decided to just swap this entire thing out and just use the manual brake pedal. Like I mentioned earlier, you come in here, you can see how much bigger the automatic pedal is, which is why it's not going to work. I could just cut it down, but after looking up in here for a couple minutes, I think I see all the bolts to take it out. So I'm just going to try and do it that way and avoid having to cut, because that doesn't sound particularly fun, cutting something that's in a position like that either. This whole brake pedal bracket has a few things that need to kind of come off of it. First off, we have all this wiring and stuff, which I'm probably just going to try and keep on the old one and then swap over as needed. We have 2 bolts down here, 2 more here. There's 2 up here that are accessed from the engine bay. There's 1 more here, and there's 1 more here. So some of these are pretty hard to get to, but let's go ahead and get this over with. It's extremely hot in there, no airflow. I have all the bolts out except for the one near the top, excluding these 2, of course. That's very hard to get to. So I figure I'll take these 2 out and then leave that one as the last one, because I don't want to take these out and then have the brake pedal just fall on the interior and mess something up. I'll do some more explaining here in a minute though, once I have it out the rest of the way. Finally. Oh my God. I was hoping this would be a little bit more satisfying, popping off this cover for the master cylinder, but I'll take what I can get. So there's a hole. The automatics just have a little plate on there. Just to cover it up, I guess, but the manuals, obviously that's where the master cylinder goes through. Unfortunately, you'll see that the far end there has a stud on it, and the closer side does not. I don't know if that happened at the junkyard, it just didn't come off, or what, but that's a problem, so I need to find another screw and nut that'll work on that. I just got extremely lucky, so I have a spare bolt here from the 9.3 from something, I honestly don't know what. Looks like a suspension bolt, maybe. I think it's a strut mount bolt, and it's the same exact pitch that I need. So when I go to install this, I can just line this up again, and this will just slide right in there, thankfully. I think it's time though to start struggling trying to get this back in.
2 hours later.
I'm at a point right now where I'm just extremely frustrated. Maybe it's the heat, maybe it's just the amount of time that this is taking. But I spent about 3 hours last night finagling out the old bracket as well as the old brake pedal. And here we have the manual brake pedal as well as the manual bracket, which I believe is the same anyways. I just kind of got situated in the car. It's not actually bolted in yet. And then I go to realize, because I've spent at least an hour trying to get this thing where it needs to be in the car, and I just can't get it lined up. So I pulled it back out, looked at these 2 things, and I realized this one, the automatic pedal, has 2 tabs here, and this one does not. So I know that one of them's for cruise control, the other one's for something else, so I'm not even sure if this pedal's gonna work now, this manual pedal. So I'm gonna do some research online, ask some Facebook groups, see what's up. But I might have just wasted 2 nights of my time trying to do this when I could have just cut this pedal. So I might end up cutting this pedal, but I'll keep you guys posted. Just really frustrated right now.
2 weeks later.
All right, so one thing I noticed after I pulled the cover off of both these pedals is you can see the automatic pedal has this big groove in it. The manual one does not. So it's going to be interesting trying to mount this rubber pad, but for now I'm just going to focus on sanding this down. Pedal has been sanded down, and then I just applied some paint to it just to make sure it doesn't rust, God forbid. So after that dries, I'm going to try and put the pedal cover on, fingers crossed. You know, I gotta say, I'm really impressed with how this went, given how it started. But I had to cut out a little piece here for the groove, but because I cut it a little bit too skinny, it actually gave me more room to play with, which actually made it easier to get this on without breaking the old rubber more. But this is on there nice and sturdy. I didn't even have to break open the super glue or anything, but now comes the hard part, fitting it in the car, which I've struggled with for so long. So I'll catch up with you guys when I've got it back in the car.
1 hour later.
Believe it or not, another roadblock. So I actually realized this after about another 45 minutes to an hour of struggling. So it went back in the car all great. What I was struggling with though was getting all the bolts. There's 4 bolts here, 2 here and 2 here that go into the brake booster. You can see the spacing on these didn't quite line up. This is the one from the junkyard, the one I was trying to install in the car. Then I got out of the car and I realized, well, look at this one. This one, you can see the spacing, just the spacing compared to it, how much further apart these bolts are. So that explains why it wasn't lining up. However, what it does mean is now I've got to swap this over to here, go through the process again, and wow, I've just wasted so much time. Another hour and a half or so has passed since then. Honestly, once I figured every little thing out, it went pretty smoothly, but check that out. 3 pedals in the 900. So excited, guys. This is just first step in kind of seeing it all sort of come to fruition, is 3 pedals. So I think I'm going to end the video here just because so much went into doing this job, and obviously lesson learned. Sometimes it's best, and it is truly easiest, to just do it the shortcut cheating way. I don't even want to say it's cheating, it's just the smart way to do it, especially in my situation where the pedal ends up being different, the bracket ends up being different too, and literally it seems like every little possible thing could be different about those 2 things were different from my car and the junkyard car. So without further ado though, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll have more videos coming on this swap now that I'm back from SOC and have a little bit more time to work on it again, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you all next time.
Take it easy.